Making selections in Photoshop can be a very difficult job. It's not only time consuming, but it can also be very tedious, despite all the great tools in Photoshop and other applications. What I'm going to show you is a tip on how you can do that very easily by just taking the right picture. So let's go to the studio and have a look on how I do it. Follow me. Okay. So here's the setup. A subject to be put on the picture. I have my flashlight that's now set up for an f11 aperture, and I have my camera. My camera is on a tripod because you can't have the camera moving around. The background, I don't care for the moment. That's something we'll work with in a minute. So let's take the first picture and see how that looks like. There you go. First shot. So let's have a look. Yeah, that looks like my picture is all right. So now we do the next thing. I will now remove that light, the main light, and I will highlight the background. So now that my main light is put for my background, I'm just going to have a look if it's not in my focus area. No, and it's not, so it's nice out. So the next thing I'm going to do now is turn that on. And then I will crank up the power. So we have kind of an overexposure for the background. And let's see. Now I got a nice silhouette, as you can see. So that's it, I'm done. So now we go back in the post-processing and have a look how it looks like. So we've done the work in the studio. We took a picture of the camera and actually we took a second picture with the background lit. So now let's have a look what the trick is in Photoshop. It's very simple, so just follow me. So we've got our first picture that we've shot in the studio. That was the one with the light right on top of the camera or the object. And the second shot was where we actually put light on the background, which was the white background, and no light on the front subject, which was the old camera. And you kind of created a silhouette. So the first thing we'll do is actually drag the silhouette on top of the good picture. So here we go. We drag it on there. There we go. So let's look on that one window. All right, you got to make sure you position it right so it's nice on top of it, which we've done now. We will then actually do a copy of the background picture with the Command J. And then we do a very simple trick with that second layer, the background copy layer selected. You press the Alt Command to bottom. That causes to be a selection to be made on the screen, as you can see on the dotted links. And now basically we are kind of ready to create the mask. So then go back to the control panel, create the mask on that layer, which we now just did. So now we can actually turn off the invert the mask with Command I. The mask is inverted. So now let's see what it is. We'll move that layer all the way to the top. And then this layer is no longer necessary, but let's just do a little trick and let's say we'll paint a specific one. Well, just all blue. There we go. So we painted the layer now, so I can just reverse that by just clicking on the mask of the original layer, Command I, and then it just goes back and forth. So here you go. Now you might actually want to have a picture on that behind it, so let me just remove that. I don't need that layer, so let's get rid of it. So let's put the guy behind the camera for a minute. Okay, I'm going to select it and I will drag it actually on here. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so now we look back on the first window. We don't need to see all the rest. So now the guy is out there, right? So look at that, see how nice he is behind the camera. So let's put his eye up there, and he's just looking into the camera. Of course, we have to scale it a bit, but that's not the important part right now. All I wanted to show you is that how easy it is actually to make a cutout. And let's put the guy there. So maybe we'll put him like this, right? Okay, there we go. So let's do that. And you see how that works? You can even see the eye right here coming to the iris of the guy through the viewer. I think this is pretty cool. So maybe what you want to do is maybe make the guy a little bit more blurry in the back. So that's good. Yeah, we can do that. So here we go. So we'll set a Gaussian blur a bit. Okay, we did that. So now let's flatten all the layers. All right, so let's have a look. Isn't that cool? This really works nicely. And this is a very easy trick. I always wondered if you could beat me on that one. So I think this is great.